Buongiorno a tutti gli amici della Bologna Business School. Attendiamo che inizi, ad arrivare iniziano ad arrivare un po' di studenti. Io in realtà sto facendo un tentativo di fare questa diretta totalmente in piedi. Chissà se ci riesco, poi a un certo punto, se mi stanco, mi siedo. Allora amici, benvenuti ai primi 38 che si sono inseriti. Ormai sta diventando il penultimo appuntamento questo, perché io a partire da martedì cedo il passo ad altri e quindi avrete modo di ascoltare la sensibilità e la curiosità anche di altri relatori nell'accompagnare queste discussioni delle 18:30, questi QuaranTalks come li chiamiamo. Bene, se è arrivato anche il professor De Panzis, il professor Bergami, il Dean della Bologna Business School, io sto aspettando che passi anche tra i nomi Alon Wolf, che è il nostro ospite di oggi. Sarà totalmente in inglese, spero che questo non sia un problema, voi siete studenti universitari, quindi insomma con l'inglese ve la caverete sicuramente benone. Io faccio del mio meglio, sono sempre stato un italianista convinto, quindi ho uno spiccato accento italiano, spero non vi spiaccia, io ne vado fiero. E credo che così vadano parlate le lingue straniere.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. How are you, my friend?
Good.
Good evening.
How's things in Tuscany?
Are you outside there?
Yes, I'm outside with my friends here.
But you are outside?
Yes, I'm in my porch.
And it's
evening.
And it's already dark there.
Yeah, it's
already dark.
Yes, we are 1 hour ahead of you. Don't forget.
Oh yeah, but yeah, you're right. But you don't have any legal, because now at 7:30 in Italy is not so dark. So
it's
quite strange to see, So how are you?
Good, thank you.
How's the situation in Israel? Can you tell us something about your country, to start? I have so many questions, of course, about technology. We will talk because of your role. Everybody now knows, because we already, we already said to all the students of the Bologna Business School, and I know that you are a friend of the university, so everybody knows you. But we will talk about technology, especially with a touch of understanding of what technology can do for this global emergency issue that we are facing all together. And we know that Israel is actually managing the things and the social, not just the technology issues, in a different way. Can you tell us something about what's going on there?
No, practically in Israel, we started quarantining a lot of weeks ago, and this was the instruction of the PM and the Prime Minister and the government. So it was way before we saw the numbers increasing. So the main challenge now for us is to keep the curve very, very shallow, as I would say. Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
And what about? I know that you have different groups. You're talking with.
Yes. Sorry.
You were talking with somebody. I heard you were talking.
Yes.
No. I was saying that I know that you are facing the social emergency without locking up the whole country. You divided.
No. We are blocking now the entire country, and some regions.
So you changed the approach.
Yeah, some regions are even blocked more than the other regions. Especially some regions in Jerusalem, in also in the center, next to Tel Aviv. Everything is over there is blocked. Here, the rest of the country, there is quarantine. You're instructed not to leave your house, and if you have to leave, then it's only 50 meters or 60 meters, and very small portion of time, not a lot.
Okay, so the same. The same kind of approach that we are having. Max Bergami, the professor that is asking if you can move a little bit the phone, because it looks like your face needs to be more in the center. if you can do that. Okay, talking about the government, can I, before entering the technology issues, can I ask you something? Because I saw something on the newspaper the other day, and I was quite curious to see and to understand from you if it's a real story, and what do you think? I mean, it's very interesting because you know that during this crazy moment, all the time in history, you need to see things not just in a logical way. Sometimes people try to see something watching on the inside of themselves and try to understand the reality with another sense, if you know what I'm trying to say. Are you still there, Alon?
Yes, I'm
still there. You hear me?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, I hear you.
Yes. So what I was saying is that I saw a news about Litzman, which is a minister of your government.
Yeah, the Ministry of Health. Minister of Health.
Of Health,
yes.
Exactly. And he said something about the possibility of, of the Messiah coming back. And it was quite interesting because I don't know who he is. I mean, the profile of the man. I know he's very religious.
He's ultra-Orthodox. We call it, yes, ultra-Orthodox.
And it's quite intriguing. I mean, if you know what do you think? I mean, is because spirituality, religion has another way. Is the complete? I mean, is on the other side of what we will talk today, which is not technology. Is something.
You know, I think that whenever science stops and has no solutions, man tends to go to ask for God for help. If you look at history, even Albert Einstein, you know, when he thought about quantum mechanics, you know, the statistics,
Bohr, Heisenberg, and all those.
Heisenberg, and he was having a constant argument about, because once he realized what he did, he said, I want to put the demon back in the box, but he was not able. You know, he put the cat. He had experiment, but at the end, he pulled God and he said, you know what? God doesn't play with dice, which means God doesn't go in doesn't do statistics or gamble. So I think that at the end of the day, when scientists run out of answers and we facing a wall, you know, we're hitting a wall, we bring God into the table and we ask for his help. So if Einstein did it, you know,
and I think that we have a minister of health.
Yes.
Managing
so in a way,
things, talking about the Messiah coming back.
Well, you know, in a way, he's coming from an ultra-Orthodox group, very ultra-Orthodox, and for ultra-Orthodox, everything is coming from God, and even the medication and the therapy provided by the doctors are the messengers of God. So in other words, if you got sick because you didn't follow some rules, and then you go to hospital to get now science help you, it's not the science, it's the science that God sends you. So it's a mode of of viewing the world. You know, it's a different maybe way of viewing the world that I'm used to, but you know, I respect this. This approach.
Of course, we need to. No. It's also very intriguing and interesting, as I said. But coming back to your field, so talking about science, talking about technology. You lead the Technion in Tel Aviv. Not exactly in Tel Aviv. Sorry.
In Haifa, it's Haifa. It's like
Haifa, exactly.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes north of
45 minutes from Tel Aviv. And I know that you have a lot of interesting stories to tell us about how technology and science is dealing with this emergency. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so the moment that Corona, the COVID-19, became a global issue and also started to affect here, you immediately saw many people around the country and also in the university, of course, trying to move their focus from their current research into something that would be helpful and fruitful in fighting this virus. Look like, they came up with a solution after 2 weeks, but these are not 2 weeks. These are 2 weeks that took science, that it took a scientist 20 years to get to the understanding of what to do in 2 weeks. You know, it's a process. So many scientists took the knowledge that they acquire in the last, throughout their career, and then try to harvest this science into solving the problems. specifically, we also approach hospitals in the region and ask for, what are your needs? What are your immediate needs? And, with many conversations with doctors that actually I understand Israeli doctors communicate a lot with Italian doctors, by the way. Yeah. It's always on the news that we learn, because Italy is like 2 to 3 weeks ahead of us. And we hope not to get to this really unfortunate, horrible news that we hear every day coming from the north of Italy. And, our heart, Israelis are very passionate about Italy in general, and people in general, but Italians specifically. So our heart is really torn. And I know that Israeli doctors always say on the TV when they are interviewed that they consult a lot with Italian doctors, because the experience that Italian doctors already have is something that they share, and now the Israeli doctors can implement, because this is this is a very dynamic situation where, we don't know how to treat. It's a virus. You don't know what to do. You don't know, you face situations that you don't know what to do, and you just ask for help from other people that might have seen similar cases and try to follow whatever they did, because eventually, going back to statistics, medicine is statistical risk management. The more experience you have, the more knowledge you have about, what should I do? If I see a young 22-year-old with this and that kind of symptoms, what should I do? So if you saw enough 22-year-old with these symptoms, you probably know what to do.
We had a couple of days ago, we had a conversation with Sergio Dompe, which is an entrepreneur in Italy, but it's a global entrepreneur in the pharmaceutical industry. And he said something, and I want to have your take on that. He said, there's going to be, there has been a research kind of international environment before, but there's going to be a new one in the future because of the COVID. Because suddenly we all became a scientific community talking to each other and cooperate. So you think that one of the trying to see the bright side of this story, you think that one of the bright side of the COVID story is the fact that the science environment will change the way they change information, they exchange information among themselves.
So I think that currently there is a lot of collaborations with scientists all around the world. We share data and information, and no doubt that I think that once everyone is, once we get out of this situation, people will realize that the answer is more to understand more nature, to have, invest more in science and technology. The big question is, how much memory do we have? Are we, as a collective, as a community, as a society, are we going to forget this, or is it going to be another SARS, another, Spanish flu epidemic that we're going to move on? I think that this epidemic is the fact that we are all connected. The fact that you and I sit now and talk live would make it more, I think, makes the whole event more dramatic, because people experience this in many dimensions, in spiritual, emotional, with their friends, with their peers, with their colleagues, and it's a global event. So I do think that
it's a global emotion as well.
It's a global emotion, and I think that this epidemic, this event would actually have some impact, some fingerprint on our future. Whether what the fingerprint would look like, I don't want to try and predict. But there is going to be some change. I hope that the change will be for the good and not for the bad.
Trying to enter into the change, and Barbara Carfagna already raised a question that is the question about talking about Israel. We all have read about Harari talking about the fact that Israeli is entering more and more, the government more and more with the technologies, thinking to more and more adopt the technology to control the under the skin kind of technology to control human beings. You think, what's your thought, what is your opinion of what is going to come out of this momentum and how the humanity will face technology in the future? If we enter into this kind of strong under the skin relationship between human and technology, will eventually we will be able to come back or not? What do you think?
So actually, it's an interesting point what you're asking, and I'd like to mention a book that was written in 1957 called Naked Sun by Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov was one of the greatest science fiction writers. And he talks about the society that, it's in a different planet, that people don't meet, by the way, because we carry germs, we carry infections. So it's dirty to meet each other. So we meet each other by using 3D holograms. By the way, this is I think the father of the Avatar and robots.
The way we are doing now, in a way.
The way we're doing now, in a way, and this was 1957. And here we are. It's like George Orwell, but many years before. So Israelis, I'll show you. I prepared also a presentation to show you, to share with you, to show you things that we do at Technion, if you, if it's possible to show it.
Great.
So Israelis, we are used to improvise and to respond fast to dynamic situation. There was, by the way, I think a week ago, there was an attempt to use, it was all over the news, to use some kind of technology used by I would say the internal security system or police or the FBI, the Israeli FBI, to monitor where people are, because with the cellular, if you have access to the cellular network, you know where you are. And the idea was that if there was a person who was identified as a carrier of coronavirus, then you can immediately know who are the people who were in direct contact with him and send them SMS or whatever, go and quarantine yourself, put yourself in a 2 weeks quarantine. Some kind of a big brother, going under the skin. It took 1 day to cancel this initiative, and now only if you're willing, you can register to get this, warning that you were in an area where someone who carried the virus was. Yes, these are scary times. I don't know. I talked also in my course in Bologna. The age of privacy. My kids don't treat privacy as I treat my privacy. Young people, young generation, they look at privacy and they don't care. Things that I care, they don't care. And I remember one of the students in the last course said, if you care about your privacy, just go disconnect yourself from everything. You get everything for free. You get Instagram, you get Facebook, you get whatever, everything for free. They have to make money somehow. If you don't care, if you want to care about your private life, just go and disconnect. If you don't pay for the service, you must be the service. Or if you don't pay for the product, you must be the product. So in that sense, you're going to see more and more sensors. There's already a lot of trend in wearable technologies, for health monitoring, because already before the epidemic, hospitals were packed with people in certain times in the year. So more and more home care and, the phones, the fact that the cell phone is a computer that is connected to a cloud, that is connected to deep learning, that is connected to whatever. Means that you can collect information all the time and share this information and use AI technology and, cloud computing and cloud robotics, things that I talk in the course, by the way, to provide better health services to people, because you can actually predict and prevent.
Yeah, this is actually the great trade-off between privacy and health. I mean, if we need to choose from one or another, it's very difficult. And the big question is, can we have privacy and health together? Can we have all these elements being capable of keeping our data for our own without, this doubt that in a way enters in our mind that we are manipulated? Because the moment, I work on the internet space and I have a company, we manage big data, to deliver advertising. But the moment you deliver advertising because of what you watch on your websites or your favorite websites is something. But if you do also have the emotions that all this content and wherever you go, everything you feel and you see and you hear, all these emotions together with what you do, and you can start manipulating people in a way that is even bigger than Orwell. I mean, it's
well, that's already being done. Think about this. You used to, I used to, I think you also used to go to a library where there were like books, real books on the shelves, not electronic library. And you were just browsing, looking around, and you saw a nice wrap of a book that looked interesting. And you start opening the book, looking, and say, hey, it's a nice book. I didn't even know that the book exists. And you go and you read it. This experience is gone, because if you go now to ebooks,
totally.
The next thing after you finish reading a book is people who read this book also like this and that book. We recommend you this and that book. So in many ways, your imagination, your creativity, the spontaneous thinking, spontaneously acting is gone.
Do you think about free will? I mean, the fact that human being is facing an era where you cannot even think you have your own, thinking. I mean, it's the first time, because in the past we had religions. We were talking about religions or morality or whatever, but now technology is even stronger than all these belief or dogma, because it's statistically the algorithm in itself, the moment they help you to find a wife, can be more precise than whatever, and this is a society we're building, and everybody in the world, in a way, we are looking at two different countries. One is Israel, and the other one is China, totally different one to each other. But these two countries are the most advanced in a way, because they are massive. They have no democracy there. You have a small country, a startup nation. You have a lot of technology.
And too much democracy.
What is?
And we have 3 elections already. We compete with you guys.
I understand from where you come from.
Yeah, we already had 3 elections.
Another question. We should talk about Paris That's another story. I know.
Yeah.
No, but what do you think is going to be, in that sense, the future and of societies? Do you think really Israel can be a country that shows the world the future, or China in a way?
Well, I believe in a global village, because I don't think that there is a beacon now, well, you started by saying that, this technology now is so dramatic and so effective, and it is, because, we are in a point in time where so many technologies matured in a focal point, in a certain time in our history, that the change is so dramatic, I see no different. The person who mastered the stone in the Stone Age was the entrepreneur of that time, or the metal in the Bronze Age was the entrepreneur of that time. If you were the entrepreneur, you survived. Now it's a lot. It's sensors, it's data, it's computing, it's deep learning, it's AI. It's very massive, and whatever happens in one spot propagates so fast. Well, the virus is unfortunately, but a good example, because we are so connected. Look what happened. We thought naively that we'd be able to quarantine it in China. Now, the fact that we're paying 20 euros or $20 and we fly from point A to point B, just carried everything. So think about technology that travels not in the speed of an airplane, but in the speed of light.
Yeah.
The beats or the signals that my cell phone now sends to you travel to you by the speed of light. It's electricity.
And coming to your, I don't want to call it presentation, but I know that you have something you want to show to the students of the Bologna Business School, and I think this is now the right moment. We are
good. So let me switch to my screen, and I want to show you some of the work that is done now at Technion. So this is, by the way, the Technion now. A few days ago, everything is blooming, but unfortunately, no people because this is springtime. Yeah. And the campus is empty, like many universities and many campuses around the world. No students. You see the center of the campus, buildings are empty. The student union building, which is this building, is empty. Everything is empty. No students, no one on campus. And you know, when there are no people, animals. Yeah. This is on campus. I have the privilege to go inside because of I get the permit to go into the Technion. And one morning, milking her puppies. This is amazing. And a friend of mine just sent me yesterday a video of wild deers walking around in Verona, in Italy, in north of Italy, because it's after people.
Yes.
So
yes,
and we switched.
We have a lot of animals. Yeah.
Yeah, we switched like you to distance learning. Everything, all the activities is stopped, but the Corona labs, we call them. We have about 30 plus Corona labs that deal with coronavirus technology or assisting technology. This is the gate now of the Technion. We are working on COVID-19 24/7. And inside, once you go into the labs, this is what you see. Some of those labs, those chemical labs, etc. And this is the labs that is still active. It's a collaboration, and not just Technion centered, but a collaboration by many. When I spoke about 2 weeks ago with the administration of one of the major challenges that we identified was respiration and protecting the healthcare givers, the doctors, the nurses, because they get infected when they get close to patients, especially if they are under respiratory machine. So this was one of the challenges we were asked to deal with, and you can see here also in newspapers that the fact that the medical staff is being infected. Professor Sman, who is a world expert in nanofibers, nanotechnology. He's using the electrospinning, and in no time he took his technology and created this sticker, the yellow sticker that you see he holds in his hand. This is made from nanofibers, coated with special materials that actually lock or trap the virus. The virus cannot penetrate those fibers and destroys the viruses. And what you do is you actually stick it to regular masks that doctors are using in hospital, like this one, the green one. Yeah. And this takes the mask now and make it COVID-19 protected. Now, this was developed by less than a week, but after 20-something years of study, and it's now being approved for shortage we had was about those protecting masks of the doctor. So it's a sticker, you stick it, it lasts for 8 hours, you remove it, it costs a few cents to generate it or to produce it. So this is one example of the technology that came out.
Can I ask you something, Alon?
Yes.
Can I ask you something? Because this is quite interesting. I mean, but on the other hand, I cannot avoid to think that you're meaning that the mask doesn't work alone. So you need to stick something on the mask so the mask doesn't work, which is one of the things we've been discussing in Italy.
Yeah. There is one mask, the N95, which is COVID-19 proof. But there is a huge shortage all over the world. Yeah. So now you take a regular mask that doctors use in surgery. This is the regular surgical mask, which is not COVID-19 protected.
Okay.
You put the sticker, which cost you 2 cents, and suddenly you have a mask which is better even than the N95, and it's being already approved for clinical tests.
And it's easy to have it. I mean, in Italy, are you already like working to export this kind of technology in Italy eventually, or not?
I hope that in very short time we'll be able to send it out all over the world. Because it's really easy to manufacture. Of course, once you know the knowledge, you have the knowledge to do it. By the way, it will come in this kind of
I think you have some problem with the signal sometimes.
Let me see what I can do here. Do you still hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit, but sometimes it crashes. Hello, Alan? Penso che abbiamo qualche problema. Nel frattempo ho visto la domanda di Barbara Carfagna e gliela farò dopo questo giro di slide. Yes, now I think it's better.
Hello?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
I hear you better
Okay.
now.
Okay. Now this is another technology. I just switched to 4G and that's it. This is
better.
another technology that was again in no time. This is a protected vest, and what you see here is a compressor that compressed air equipped with biological filter that was left over. We still have a lot of leftovers from the Gulf War that every citizen in Israel used to have this in his home. So it was immediately converted by Ezri Tarazi to a system, and you could see here on the mast there is an air blowing, constant blow of air. It's almost like a windshield or like a curtain of air.
It's a windshield. That's it's
a windshield
and
a curtain of air that prevents the aerosols from going from under into the doctor's mouth and therefore protecting him. It's actually also being used now in the medical center and also being distributed around the country. Now, as for therapeutics, in order to, one of the main things that is being damaged by this virus are the lungs. So usually the medication is being sent by inhalation of something. This is like for asthma or whatever. But it turns out that when you use this kind of technology, the aerosols don't go everywhere in the lung in equal. This is a nice simulation. You see some areas still have the red color, some don't. Particles don't split evenly. So a professor at Technion, which was working on this technology, his name is Jose Schnitzman, developed what we call liquid foam therapy, and you can see here the liquid foam drilling out of these tubes equally. And with this kind of technology, you can actually send the medication equally to every part of the lung, in every part of the lung. It was already tested on person, on animals. Animals. And you can see here on the left-hand side, both porcine or boars, pigs got same amount of dye color into the lung. The left was just by liquid. The right with the foam. You see the difference in the color, the blue color. This is completely colored. So the dye got to every part of the lung. Now imagine if this was a medication, complete coverage. Now, with COVID-19, this is the main issue, to get the medication to the optimal place all over the lung. This is being tested now on animals, and in a week or two, I think they're moving into human trials. Hopefully, very fast, we'll go into clinic. You can also learn from, fruit de mer, shrimps, because it turns out another lab that is actually working for many years now. I just show you how you take one thing and you transfer it to something else. Working on developing some kind of immune system for those shrimps, because 30% of the shrimps die every year because of some kind of a viral RNA disease. Viral RNA.
Yeah.
Turns out coronavirus is a viral.
Is a viral RNA.
RNA. Yeah. So what this professor did, his name is Avi Schroeder, is converting now his 15 years of study very fast into the corona, because it has the same mechanism, the same thing he studied on the shrimps, he's now implementing on humans. And by the way, if you're interested to hear his talk, he's a fascinating speaker, about drug delivery using this technology. You'll be able to do this on the April 14th, 12 p.m. London time. He's going to have a live webinar. Just follow the Technion UK. You follow here the address, and I'll ask to spread it out. It's a very, very nice, very interesting talk, very groundbreaking technology. Also about the Agnostic. We all talk about the Agnostic. So we have all kind of LIDAR, radar, and thermal camera system combined with AI that is able to detect whether people are carrying the virus, because it turns out that you have different heat signature and motion of the chest. And if you have enough sample of corona patients, you can actually extrapolate and then say, hey, this person has the corona or not.
And it's not
radar.
just about temperature, it's also about things and data that you collect through the camera.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
and
wow.
where the temperature is, and also in a very low cost sensor, you can actually diagnose people, and it's actually being implemented.
Wow.
Oh, this is a very nice study by Roy Kishoni. You know, one of the main struggle is to get those tests to test people. These sticks, we're running out of them. So and it takes a lot of time in the lab to understand or
this is one of the problem we've been facing in Italy as well.
Correct. So he came up with an very old method, but no one thought about this. And you can actually take samples of 64 of those samples and test them together in one kit. Now, chances is if none of the 64 or 32, by the way, it has to be in a power of 2. If none of these is infected, you trash the 64 and you saved 64 tests. If one of them, if there is an infection, even if you tested 64, the system would be able to detect that there is an infected person, and then you split it in half. Now you do 32 and 32. Yeah. So you try to fast the process and do less and less tests.
This is actually what the computer does when they do statistics, right? It's actually an algorithm that comes from another.
Yes, correct. Exactly correct. When you do solver, mathematical solvers.
Exactly. Yes, it comes from my lessons.
Yes. No, you know, this is old news, but no one thought about this. You have to be creative and say,
lateral thinking. You should use what you knew before for new kind of problems to solve
and take it from one space to another. And this is the strength. This is the strength of what we're doing. Everyone is doing now. This is a company in Israel called Agnostic Robotics. Kira Radinsky is in the center. Is a well-known scientist for Google, and they do a lot of AI and prediction. And they work with the Ministry of Health when the minister is healthy, of course, and not at the beginning of our conversation. And they try to predict where is the next place in Israel where they see the epidemic breaking, because they collect a lot of data from browsing and shopping and other data. They also have profiling of not with ID, not about specific people, but that people that have diabetic and heart conditions are more prone to catch the COVID-19. So now they send this information to all the SMO, all the medical services. Call your patients who have diabetic with heart condition and ask them how they feel. And because they get this information from data mining, deep learning, a lot of data. By the way, the data they're using is from Korea and also from Italy to teach this. One more interesting thing is, dogs that sniff. Dogs can sniff and detect many things like drugs and money. And so we also came with an idea of using the dogs to sniff. By the way, it's known that dogs can sniff cancer. They can detect cancer if someone has cancer.
Yeah, this is something that I knew. I mean, but so you think dogs can detect also the virus?
Yeah, why not? Why not? So now I'm not an expert in doing this, but some people are trying.
So they're doing research. You're doing the research in Israel
in dogs. To try to train dogs to sniff to be able to detect the virus. So you don't have to take tests. A dog is sniffing and telling you this. By the way, and this actually takes us to another very interesting study by Professor Hussam Hayek, a world expert who developed this bionic nose that sniff cancer, by the way. This was this technology with nanosensor technology. This is Hussam, and this is the sensor. It's a company. It's already been used. He can be very high percentage, I think more than 90% detect if someone has certain kind of cancer. And now very quickly, he took his 20 years of study and converted to sensors that can detect corona. And as I said, also now for treatment, this is in my field. One of the things that the doctors said that it's very dangerous to go into the corona departments, those isolated areas.
Yeah.
So we approach students in Israel that participate in robotic competitions, and they build robots that are going inside now the hospitals and serving the people. You can see here, this is the chair of.
Sorry, talking about.
Yeah. No, it's probably
smelling the corona.
So these robots now travel. These are low-cost robots created by 12th graders. 18-year-old children or teenagers that develop those robots. These robots now travel in the hospital, in those infected departments, and provide food and medication to the patients. Because every time you have to cross this red line here, meaning that you are going into the infecting zone and you need to put yourself with all the gears and everything.
Yeah.
So these robots now work. This is the new corona department that is being done now in the Rambams, and they already test that the robot can go between the beds and serve the patients. So the next, when they fill up the departments, hopefully they don't, and they don't use the robot will serve the patient instead of the doctors. Students are also volunteering all over. Food and medical students are also volunteering, and it's an endless. It's a battle between COVID and human.
Yeah.
And we all need we need to stay safe and protect ourselves. So this is in a nutshell. What we're doing at the Technion, trying to assist, trying to take, as I said, knowledge that we already acquired in many years of research and very fast try to harvest it in order to help us deal with this current epidemic.
It's
like a startup. Sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're not.
The good news about startups is that you try, you build experience as well.
Yeah.
And talking about that, let me come back to the discussion about Israeli as a startup nation. Barbara Carfagna sent a message asking for your specific view on what Netanyahu said to transform Israeli from a startup nation to a smart nation, to a smart-up nation or something like that. Is it marketing or there's a meaning inside this tag?
It's getting into politics, I guess.
It's
I think it's going hard. It's a dual thing, in order to be a startup, you have to be smart. In order to be smart, you want to be a startup.
But not all startups are smart, though. So
it's the difference between clever and smart,
Yes, exactly. But I want to ask you something that is not. Sorry, go on.
Yes.
But
You
were saying?
No, I'm saying that I don't want to. I think it's a lot of it's some kind of PR-ish, I would say, and with some truth in it, but
which is good. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's good.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you something, which is quite, I've been impressed by a cover of The Economist. I don't know if you've seen the last one, the new cover of The Economist. It was quite of a heavy cover. I mean, they're very good on creating very, very, very impactful cover all the time. But this time the concept is a very tough question. So for how long we can be able to think a human life is priceless? Talking about the conflict between health on a side and economy on the other side. So how long the world can be locked up, and how long we can still think that a human life is priceless, as I said. This is a very tough question. It's difficult, of course, but I want to have your take on that.
So let me take you now to Judaic or Jewish life. Jewish life, there's a very famous, very known say that if you if you were able to save one's life, it's like you saved the entire world. Which means that each one of us is an entire world.
Yeah.
Now this is in theory, of course, and this is it's good, and we all understand it. And At some point, even not in epidemic times, we do that. We do, our governments are doing that by deciding where to put the money in research, for example, whether to invest in cancer research, heart research, diabetic research, should we support this kind of medication? I don't know in Italy, but in Israel, every year there is a committee that decides which kind of new medication are entering what we call the basket, or those medications that are supported by the public system. We have a public health system. So in a way, we are doing that. This committee is deciding the life and death of certain people, by deciding that this medication is entering the service and
the other one not.
The other one not, which means sometimes death penalty. It's not penalty, but death sentence. It's not a penalty. Maybe.
Yeah, but this is something quite common. But I'm talking about the economy. So for how long do you think we can block the economy globally, despite?
But this is also economy. If we had endless amount of money, we would have invested the money and support all the medications, all the treatments.
Yeah.
Now with this corona, I think that the derivatives of, the secondary effects and the third effect of the economy are going to be also very severe, because, when we all go out of this, let's be optimistic. In a few months, I already saw today that the situation in Italy is getting better, relatively better. Numbers are dropping a little bit. I think
we are reaching the plateau.
Yeah, we're reaching the plateau. So I really wish that you reach very fast the plateau, and once this is over, we will have to pay the consequences. Actually, even today we are paying the consequences. People don't go to hospitals. People that don't have COVID, or corona. People with other medical issues don't go to hospitals to get treatments or get their doctor test them or get CTs or MRIs because they're afraid to being infected. So there is already an effect, and especially now with the economy, many countries like Israel, Italy, America, all of them, we spend a lot of money now trying to fight the epidemic, which means that in the next 2, 3, 4 years, until the economy is recovered, we're going to have less doctors, less money for medication, and less treatments available for people, less development of hospitals, new beds or new departments being built. So it's maybe it's not a direct effect, but it's for sure a secondary and a third effect, which is it's going to be very dramatic. And right now we are in survival mode. We need to act and we need to block it. Because otherwise we don't know where this is going to go. It might go even worse. So we're in panic. Everyone is in panic. We need to act and act fast. So this is what we do. We don't ask ourselves how much it costs, but no doubt that the effect is going to hit us.
I take the quote of Professor Bergami that just brought down in the chat. Decisions now are more emotional and dramatic. Ratio is the same, which means that right now, everything we talk about, you were talking about the fact that every year the government in Israel is deciding which field has to be more,
in the focus.
Invested. Yes, exactly. But it's basically the same thing that is happening now, except the fact that we are more emotional right now, and we
are in a stress and panic mode. We are panicked. We're in stress because we are facing something that we don't know. And when people, when we face something which is unknown, we don't feel comfortable. Think about yourself, us. If we are in an unknown environment, we feel unsafe because we cannot predict the consequences. We don't know where we're heading. We like to be in control of our future and destiny. And in many ways, we are panic. We are in a panic mode. And some people would say this is controlled panic mode, but it's still emotional. Yes.
I think in 1 hour, in 10 minutes from now, we are out of the Instagram timing because, you know, after 1 hour, they cut off all discussions.
The big
So,
brother is controlling everything. Yes.
exactly. Which is Zuckerberg, as you know, the big brother. So I saw so many questions, something about the sustainability of the thing, the technology you just showed. I mean, how much money has been invested in Israel in respect to the Italian capacity of investment in research. We had a lot of questions we actually couldn't answer, and I'm sorry for that. But I know that you are a deep friend of Bologna Business School, so as soon as the world will come back to normality, I'm sure you will come back to Bologna again. And I know
I'll come to normality too. I'll come to Bologna to spend.
I know you have a
wonderful
son
times. Yes,
that
I'll spend
cooks
wonderful
amazing tortellini, and which is great. I saw the picture. Am I right?
Yes. This is from the time we spend in Bologna. We take classes. So yes,
you see.
Yeah.
So there's something we can teach to Israel, at least.
Oh, there's a lot
tortellini.
with tortellini. A lot that we can study from Italians. A lot.
Thank you very much, Alan. Also on behalf of Professor Bergami, for being with us today and just I don't know how to say that in English, but in alti cuori. In alti cuori means let's raise our heart in the sky. Let's put you know, in alti cuori. Let's say in Italian. In alti cuori.
So I want to spend a big hug and my love to everyone in Bologna and Bologna Business School. They're dear friends and dear family. And I'm looking forward to see you all in good health very soon, very soon.
Thank you again.
I was supposed to be in Bologna in 2 weeks for a conference.
But it's going to be, maybe in 1 month you'll be back. Hopefully,
yes,
1 month.
Yes.
Hopefully, we're going to be able to travel again. So thank you. Also on behalf of all the other friends of this QuaranTalk, as we call it.
Thank you. Buonasera. Okay. Ciao. Bye bye.
Ciao. Grazie a tutti.